payment disruptions for Social Security. If you're somebody that collects SSI, SSDI, veterans benefits, retirement, you're going to want to watch this video all the way through. Now, this is breaking news just coming out, so there's not a whole lot of articles on this. This literally has come out in the past hour, and so there's not a whole lot of information. I'm expecting this is going to be pouring out throughout the course of the day as we just received a warning. Take a look. This just came out today from Secretary Janet Yellen, warns of a debt default which would disrupt Social Security payments and raise the borrowing costs into perpetuity. Now, she says that the House, they could vote Wednesday, tomorrow, on a bill with conditions. However, what we're hearing at this current time, what I've been reporting to you, is President Joe Biden and Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy do not see eye to eye on anything. And at this time, as far as we know, there are no negotiations taking place between the two of them, and they're saying that this is going to be catastrophic. Take a look at this headline. Just came out. Default on the debt would trigger an economic catastrophe. U.S. Treasury Secretary is warning. This just came out, and like I said, there's some video footage that we're able to get. It has not yet been released. This just came out about an hour or so ago. So likely by the time I get this up, this will be all over the news, but I'm going to keep you guys up to date on the breaking news. And for the articles, the news outlets that have come out, I'm going to report to you what she had to say on this, because she is confirming that, yes, if they do not come to an agreement on something here soon and we default, this will disrupt payment distributions for Social Security, retirement, SSI, SSDI, veteran benefits, any of these fixed income benefits from the government. You will be impacted. So I just want to make sure that you guys can hear the latest. I'm going to link this in the description so you can see the article that literally just came out. And like I said, more than likely more of these will be rolling out throughout the course of the day. But let's go ahead and dive right in. Do me a quick favor. If you appreciate the updates, regardless of whether or not they're what you want to hear, which I don't think anybody wants to hear this. If you appreciate the updates, though, do me a favor, smash the like button. Just takes a second. Thank you so much. Smash the subscribe button to stay up to date. And if you want to be a part of the community, help me come up with ideas that will help you out with more information, hit the join button and you can get exclusive access and also get direct information right from me as well. But with that being said, you guys, let's dive into this article and get you caught up as to what's going on, what just came out about an hour ago, breaking news on disruptions to payments for Social Security. So again, link in the description below to this article that just came out today that says Yellen warns debt default would disrupt Social Security payments, raise borrowing costs into perpetuity. And just to clarify, this would not only impact these programs, but this will be felt all over our nation and the world if the United States defaults. This is pretty severe, and we hope that they understand the severity, members of Congress, and are able to come to an agreement. A lot of people are hopeful that we won't get to this point because there is too much on the line. Now, the article says that U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen on Tuesday, today, just a little while ago, warned of severe economic consequences if Congress does not address the debt ceiling, as Republicans were readying a House vote on this matter. Now, it is unlikely that the federal government would be able to issue payments to millions of Americans, including our military families and seniors who rely on Social Security, she said in remarks prepared for delivery to the Sacramento Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce. That was today, as she has confirmed these programs will be disrupted. I know there's a lot of differing opinions, but here we have the White House Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen confirming that if we default, these programs will be impacted. In the longer term, a default would raise the cost of borrowing into perpetuity, she said. So just to clarify, this is going to impact everybody, not just Social Security, but those will be some of the programs that will feel it directly. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and his fellow Republicans are planning to vote this week on a bill to lift the debt ceiling in exchange for deep spending cuts. But Yellen repeated that Congress should raise or suspend the debt limit without any conditions. A vote could be as soon as Wednesday, tomorrow. However, what we've heard is that there is no agreement on this whatsoever at this present time. President Joe Biden and Democrats have said it should be a clean spending increase, that there should be no cuts to anything. But at this present time, Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy and Republicans in the House have said, no, we need to cut back this irresponsible spending. And at this present time, there is no agreement whatsoever, and we're hearing no negotiations. And if that bill does pass through the House, we're hearing that it will likely be dead on arrival in the Senate and might even, if it goes through, be vetoed by the president. So we will see, because they have got to come to some sort of an agreement soon. We continue to think that Kevin McCarthy is more likely than not to get this bill through the House this week, despite multiple reports that he does not yet have the votes, said analysts on Tuesday. This is a do or die for him, and he will do everything that he can to muscle this through despite qualms in a few corners of the party. Now, 22V researchers Kim Wallace said in a recent interview with MarketWatch that this year's standoff over the debt limit is likely to weigh on markets, but there are very, very low odds of default and worst-case outcomes. So they are hopeful, as we all are, that members of Congress, understand the severity of this situation and realize they've got to stop their squabbling and fighting because there's too much at stake and they will get this through. So the vast majority of people believe they're going to be able to pull this off despite the current situation that we are in and the warnings that we're receiving today. My guess is that sometime beginning Memorial Day, the parties will begin to circle around each other and eventually negotiations will be engaged on fiscal year 24, said Wallace, 22V's head of Washington policy research. B of A global research strategist said Friday that they expect to hear guidance from Yellen in the next 2 weeks about the so-called X date, which is the day when the government can't meet all of its obligations. So just to clarify, we've already hit the max. We've hit the ceiling. We've hit the limit of our credit card spending, so to speak, for the nation. And now we're going to get to the point where we can no longer pay. We're in excess. We're in default. And they're saying when that happens, it will be devastating. Nobody knows exactly when it is, but we're hearing it's likely sometime around June, maybe July. So we're not too far away as we enter into May. Now, the strategist noted that worries over a looming deadline to raise the debt ceiling are rippling through the Treasury bills and the market. So this is being felt, and a lot of people are starting to get very concerned as we are getting extremely close and nobody actually knows the date that we will default. But when it happens, if it happens, it's going to be devastating. And yes, there will be disruptions felt across all programs for our nation. And as I mentioned, here's another one that just came out a little while ago, less than an hour ago, that says this would spell economic catastrophe for everybody, for our nation, as U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has sounded the alarm that a failure by Congress to raise the government's debt ceiling would eventually trigger an economic catastrophe. So just to clarify, this is extremely severe. They have got to get this taken care of. And like I said, we're hopeful that they're going to be able to do so. A default on our debt would produce an economic and financial catastrophe, she said. A default would raise the cost of borrowing into perpetuity. Future investments would become substantially more costly. Yellen warned that a failure by Congress to raise the government's debt ceiling and the resulting default of the U.S. debt would result in job losses and higher interest rates for years to come. If Congress fails to do so, the government will likely run out of money to pay its bills. It will most likely be unable to issue payments to military families, seniors who rely on Social Security, and U.S. businesses will face deteriorating credit markets. She also warned, further adding that the household payments of mortgages, auto loans, and credit cards would all go up as well. Yellen insists that it was the basic responsibility of Congress to increase or suspend the $31.4 trillion borrowing cap set for the government without delay. Congress must vote to raise or suspend the debt limit. It should do so without conditions, and it should not wait until the last minute, which kind of feels like exactly what they're doing right now. After the January due date has expired, the U.S. Treasury Secretary told lawmakers in February that the government will likely run out of money sometime in June. Now, as I mentioned, this is breaking news just coming out. There's not a whole lot of articles. Those are actually the only two I was able to find, but as more comes out, I will give you guys detailed updates on everything. And in addition to that, if Congress is able to come to some sort of an agreement to raise the debt ceiling without making cuts to programs, we've heard Social Security, Medicare are off the table. I will let you know right away because, like we've heard, this could be economic catastrophe, but we also are well aware of the fact that Congress members do know what's at stake, and hopefully they will come to an agreement before the X date hits. Now, also, in addition to that, I've let you guys know that President Joe Biden made his announcement today, a massive announcement that he is going to be running for re-election. Check out that video if you missed it. And in addition to that, there's still leftover funds that could be used for stimulus checks, and there's new calls for stimulus checks right now. So if you want to check out those videos, be sure to do so. I'll put them on the screen for you right now, and I'll catch you in the next video. But you guys, thank you so much for joining me. I'll keep you updated, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.